Dear members of the high-level panel, dear participants of the GRoW final conference, I want to present to you, now that we are approaching the end of the final conference, I want to present to you a product, another product of GRoW. We as GRoW scientists have been sitting together. We have been discussing our experiences, and we feel that we as scientists have a responsibility to share these experiences that we gathered in our lifetime, but also during this project, and condense these experiences into recommendations for whom? For policy and for practice. So for the political arena, for the decision makers in the political arena, but also very importantly, the decision makers outside the political arena, the ones in the economic arena that make decisions every day and shape our lives, but also the civil society that makes decisions by being active in the political work they do every day in NGOs or wherever. So we were sitting together and we were compiling this paper that we call Safeguarding Water Resources in a Globalizing World. This paper is online in a German version, but also in an English-speaking version. And during the next few minutes, I give you the basic ideas of this paper, and I hope that this can also find its way to the high panel discussion afterwards. So I want to inspire a little bit, but also want to give the view of us scientists on what should be done and on what actions should be taken. Now, first of all, the key points from GRoW. It's very hard to condense this into a few points, but the first point is that water is a global resource. So local water resources are connected globally through teleconnections. You've heard about this over the last 1.5 days. Climate is one thing, through global circulation, trade through world water flows, in food trade, for example, information, the internet is spreading and connecting all the whole globe, and technology which spreads around the globe and brings new possibilities to connect and interconnect and to teleconnect different regions around the globe. We have a saying in Germany that when we think that something is irrelevant, we say it's about as relevant as a bag of rice that falls over in China. Now, these teleconnections give relevance to this bag of rice that falls over in China. It's not irrelevant anymore what happens in other parts of the globe. And we have to take this into account when we talk about water and most of all, when we talk about sustainable water management. Second, water is at risk. We live in a time of pandemic, and you may have experienced this live in Berlin more than we have experienced this here in our home office. And I'm very sad that I cannot be with you because it's a strange experience. But this pandemic demonstrates to all of us, what exponential means. So there's an exponential increase in water use around the globe, but there is not an exponential increase in the resource base, the water availability around the globe. And this is bound to create more and more problems, and they have to be solved. But too often today, sustainable water issues have no seat at the negotiation table. If you think about the IPCC, if you think about IPBES, if you think biodiversity issues, and all this is connected to water, but where is in the decisions that are made by the decision makers afterwards, where is the water? And the water has to be included in a much more prominent way than that has been before. The other thing is that managing water sustainably should become a local to global, back to local knowledge and information business. We have to turn the knowledge and information that we create in science and that other people also create about water into a business case. So this has to become interdisciplinary. We have to leave the hydro box. We've been talking about this for ages in science, to leave the hydro box, but also decision makers have to leave the hydro box and connect to others to make more appropriate decisions about managing water sustainable. We have to be much more transdisciplinary in our governance and in looking at the societal benefit that we can create. What the decisions have to be knowledge-based for managing water sustainably. So hydrosystematic facts have to be the basis and not voodoo. And last but not least, we should be innovative, take up the information age opportunities, and create business out of knowledge and information. This leads me to the call to action, where we have 3 actions that we have identified that we think are most important now. The action 1 is we propose to systematically utilize the new opportunities of the digital age to improve water management everywhere and in all sectors. Action 2, we propose to integrate sustainable local water management into global supply chains. There should be no space for unsustainable, for products that have been produced with unsustainable water use in a global supply chain. This we think is important, and this would change drastically the way we are using water. Action 3, we propose to take action to strengthen and consequently implement transparent and science-based water governance. Science-based, I already elaborated on this. This is very, very timely and very up-to-date, and there's a lot of discussion about science-based decisions and non-science-based decisions. But also transparent is important. It has to be clear to everybody how decisions are made. So these are the actions, and allow me please to add some points on science to complement these actions. These actions cannot be implemented without science producing additional knowledge that can be used. So the first step will be to fully develop big environmental data science for the benefit of sustainable water management from local to global, not for its own benefit, but for the benefit of sustainable water management. So this is an application issue of big environmental data science, which is many times very far away from application. We should better understand teleconnections and extend predictions so that we can plan better water resources and that we can move ahead in our decision preparation at as early as possible stage. And we should identify structures of global and regional supply chains and related trade which support sustainable water use. This is not trivial, and this is a long-term activity that we think is important to change the way we are using water in feeding the global supply chain. And last but not least, I come to my last point of science complementing actions. We should more closely link our research on sustainable water management to the fundamental societal transformations towards sustainability, which have to take place in agriculture, which have to take place in energy, which have to take place in land use, and last but not least, which have to take place in climate change adaptation and mitigation. We are part of this. We are one of the musical instruments of this orchestra, and we should try to be one of the most important instruments and not one of the instruments that only comes to tune every once in a while. With this, I thank you very much for listening. I hope that this will inspire the high-level panel in its discussions. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.